Is this Steve?
Yes.
Steve, how are you?
Mr. Patrick, how are you, my friend?
I am doing very good. So, Steve, so you said you were in the Israel Army for 8 years?
Yeah. I'm the one that sends you the toys for your family every Christmas.
Oh, man, you're so amazing. I appreciate that, brother. Thank you so much for doing that. The kids appreciate it as well.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
So tell us, what do you think about what's going on with Israel and Palestine? You were in the Israeli army for 8 years. Obviously, this is a very, very heated debate on both sides. Folks from Palestine have strong opinions. Folks from Israel have strong opinions. What are your thoughts about what happened there?
Okay, my thought is the fact, I'm sorry my English is not the best, but I've been there I lived there for 35 years, now I live in Orlando, but I was there for 8 years. People doesn't understand. I hate when people say, they see the news and they say, oh, free Palestine, free Israel. People have no clue what's going on. We treating the Arab better than anyone else. If Hamas will literally control the Gaza, and they will take over whatever they dream to take over Israel, the Arab will suffer like nobody ever understand that. People don't understand how we give. We give them water, electric, they work with us. I actually know the language, I work with them. I have millions of friends Arab, and they even understand that. The Israeli Arab especially, they understand what's going on. If the Hamas will take over, they are done. They treat them, they beat them in the street, they do whatever they want. You cannot go without, the cover on the head. They will beat you. You cannot. It's like they're going to make it like Iran, which you know better than anyone. People doesn't understand how moral. I never hit no Arab for no reason. I never shot no one for no reason. People doesn't understand what's going on there. They're all about blood. They're going behind school. They're shooting so we can shoot the kids and they can show it in CNN. It's unbelievable what's going on. Unbelievable. I'm in shock. People just throwing memes and social media, free Palestine. They have no clue what's going on.
Are you saying that the Hamas believes in Sharia law?
100%.
Okay.
100%.
Continue.
Did you have a follow-up?
I just wanted to see if that's what he was trying to say.
And by the way,
100%.
Can you unpack that for us and the listeners?
Okay. So for example, if you go now to let's say Gaza or Jericho or whatever, okay?
Yep.
And just for example, you're gonna ask a father with 4 kids.
Yep.
Let's say he have 2 boys and 2 girls.
Mm-hmm.
We ask him how many kids you have. You know what I will say?
What?
2. He will never say 4. They don't count the girls. They treat them like garbage. They treat them just to clean the house, to have babies, and that's it. They don't have a say. They don't have a word. They don't have nothing. People don't get it. They believe in Sharia because that's how they take the taxes. That's how they take their money. And people I was in Gaza, just Gaza for 1 year and 8 months. I was 4 months of them undercover. What I saw there, it's unbelievable. The hate they have, the blood that they I wish I can just YouTube my time on the army, which wasn't back then.
Steve, do you mind if I three-way Anas in, who is on the complete opposite side, because he's got some strong opinions, and see if the rest of us can just listen to the two of you guys have a discourse here? Is that okay with you?
100%.
Okay, yes. Anas, I'm about to call you folks. Hang tight. I'm trying to get Anas in. Give me a second here, Anas. Thank you for your patience. Let me see if I got the number 1929 231 6308. Here we go.
And who is Anas exactly?
I don't know who Anas is.
Okay.
I don't know who Anas is. Anas has got the complete opposite opinion than what Steve has. Anas, can you hear us?
Yes, I hear you very well, Patrick. How are you doing today?
I'm doing wonderful. I appreciate you. I'm on a three-way. You in. Hang tight for me. Did you hear the comment Steve made?
Yes.
Okay, so hang on.
Before you bring in Steve, Anas, give us your bio real quick.
Wait, let me bring Steve because it doesn't matter. They got to know each other anyway. So, so at this point, we know Steve's background is he was in the Israeli army for 8 years. So Steve, can you take 30 seconds and give us your background once again? You said 8 years in the Israeli army. Tell us a little bit more again.
Okay, yeah, I was 8 years. I joined the army when I was 18. In Israel, you have to be 3 years in the army. But I signed more and I became an officer for 8 years. I was almost 2 years in Gaza and the rest on Ramallah, all the Arab area. I was a commander for 150 soldiers. And I can guarantee you that we are the most moral army ever. We give them food. We give them everything. We treat them good. They're working with us.
Perfect. Anas, can you give us your back? Steve, thank you for that. Anas, give us your background before you guys can go into...
I'm Palestinian American. I was born in this country. I was raised in Palestine for a year. So unfortunately, your guest, I think he's kind of misinformed about a few things. So number one, So number one, I'm going to be respectful here because he was respectful, so I'm going to be respectful. For example, we treat our daughters and sons the same way. My family have a lot of daughters in our family. And my uncle, he says that he likes his daughters more than his sons. So I think that he has to talk for Palestinians, number one. But number two, I want to say something important, Patrick, is that as a Palestinian and as a Muslim, foremost, as a Muslim, I condemn killing civilians, because in Islam we're not allowed to kill civilians. It's in the Sharia law. If someone could read the Sharia law, it says in Islam that we're not allowed to kill civilians no matter what. And I want to tell this younger man here that if this gentleman here, because he's a good man, he's educated, I hope, is that the Palestinians, they elected Hamas. Because there was elections in Palestine. There was no elections recently because Israel and the American government and the Fatah party doesn't want to allow for elections. And if we look at the last war, because we say that Israel is the most moral army in the world, you know how many kids died, Pat? Now, I don't care if it's an Israeli kid or Palestinian kid. A lot of kids died. You know how many kids got trauma? And they say, oh, Hamas, they put the rockets there. Hamas put the rockets there. Can we see the evidence, please? I've been asking the Israeli, media and army to show us the evidence that if there is rockets in the buildings, show it. But no, they didn't show it. They just used the planes to punish the Palestinians for voting for Hamas, and because they can't get to Hamas. Hamas is in the tunnels, and Hamas, they're fighting face to face. If Israel wants to really destroy Hamas, go into Gaza and be men and go fight one-on-one. Anyway, to stay on topic, because I'm Palestinian, I want to give you our side. As a Palestinian and as a Muslim, I'm going to say on tape, I condemn the Armenian genocide and what happened in 1915. Many Armenians were taken in by Palestinian, Lebanese, and Syrian families who took the Armenians in. And we have to be, straight here. Israel was built on Palestine. 531 villages was destroyed. 11 cities was destroyed. Jaffa, Haifa, Akka, Tiberias, Nazareth, all these cities are in today Israel, were once part of Palestine. And there were Palestinians who lived there. And they were kicked out of their lands. And this whole conflict started when the Israeli army, quote unquote, the most moral army in the world, stormed Islam's third holy site. Can you imagine if a Muslim army stormed the Vatican or stormed Orthodox Christian Church? How would the world react? Can you imagine how would the world react if the Turkish army stormed the Orthodox or Greek Church and they desecrated it? So let's be straight here. Let's be balanced here. Now, I'm going to say on tape, if Hamas kills civilians, I condemn that 100%. I condemn killing civilians 100%. Because the rockets that they have, because Iran provides them weapons, but these rockets are not, they're not accurate. And plus, Hamas warned them twice. They say, if you keep touching Al-Aqsa and evict Palestinians from their houses, we're going to respond. And Israel didn't heed the warning, and Hamas responded. Now, me, I'm not here pro-Hamas or anti-Hamas. Me, I'm here for what the Palestinian people want. The Palestinians have been, Gaza's under a blockade plan. They can go in or out. There are many smart Palestinians in this world. There are many smart Palestinians in this world that are engineers, lawyers, filmmakers, all this stuff, and they can't go with the full potential because Israel is putting a blockade on Gaza and we're not allowed to have our own businesses in our own state, Pat. But let me ask you a question. If New York or Los Angeles was under a blockade because the people chose Donald Trump and Russia and China put America under blockade and they counted the calories that came in this country, how would America react? If someone came to your house, Pat, and said, this is my house and it's my house and because God said, how would you react? You have the right. America gave you the Second Amendment right to defend yourself. The Palestinians are practicing the rights that God gave them, that Allah gave them, the Second Amendment rights to defend their land, defend the West Bank, defend our holy sites. Okay? And it's clear. Let me be very clear about something. If anybody in America attacks a Jew for no reason, even if he's from my own people, even if he's an Arab or a Muslim, I will beat the crap out of him and defend that Jew's rights because I'm a Muslim fan.
I got to say something. Yeah. We got lucky here. Steve, I'm going to come to you in a second. Folks, if you're listening in, we are probably the luckiest people to have gotten this to, because you're both sounding, obviously there's some emotion behind you, but you're both being reasonable and respectful to one another. I appreciate that. That's the valuetainment type of style. Steve, I want to hear your response to what Anas just said.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Steve.
Sorry. Okay. First of all, I think he's talking about misinformed. I don't know where you're from in Palestine, which area you call Palestine.
West Bank.
Okay, West Bank. Yeah, I've been there many years, but when you say Arab doesn't, just for example, if Israel were very mean, like everybody tried to, we can operate Palestine in a second. We try never to shoot. We're telling everybody where the Hamas. If I, God forbid, shooting, let's say I have 20 kids around me. and I will shoot your house. You wouldn't say, oh, there is kids behind Steve, I'm not going to shoot him. You will freaking shoot me as much as you can to protect your kids. So when they go into kindergarten and everything and they're shooting us, don't think that we're going to say, oh, wait, what are we going to do? There is kids, because that's what you guys want to show. And second of all, Hamas not been elected freely. I mean, you have to be very naive to think that Hamas been elected freely. Nobody really asked Palestine who to vote. You know, it's everything. It's 99% vote for Hamas because that's how it's going to work. And Fatah was supposed to come now to election, and that's why whatever his name is, Mazen, whatever, he did all this work because Abbas, because he wanted to. He didn't want to have election because he will lose 100%. He will lose. That's
I agree 100%. I agree with you 100% on that point.
That's what he did. That is a distraction, like a lot of politicians.
Yes,
and you know what's funny, Patrick? What's ironic?
Tell me.
That all the leaders, the Hamasnikin, that's selling all the kids to die. You think I don't care about kids dying? Yeah, but you know where they are? They're all in Vegas. They're all in Dubai. They're not even there. They just said, "Go die for Palestine. Go buy more buses in Israel."
Brother, with all due respect, the leaders of Hamas are in Gaza right now as we speak.
Yeah. Leaders of Hamas in Dubai, okay.
Habibi, there's, I assure you, I bet you $1 million. Hamas
yeah, you don't bet me. Trust me. And that $1 million
Well, listen, gentlemen, I appreciate you for your time. This was great. Here's what we're doing. Gang,
I have a YouTube channel called Clash and Mash. We talk about issues all the time.
Why don't you put the link in the description?
I could put it in the description.
Anas, put it in the description. The audience, if they want it, they can follow. Here's what I'm going to be doing for both of you guys. Gang, if you watched this and you enjoyed Steve and Anas, click that subscribe button. Steve, you gave us 99 bucks and 99 cents. I'm giving you 10 times back. You're getting $1,000 for doing what you did. And Anas, you gave 20 bucks. I'm giving you 10 times back to that as well. You guys were class X. Appreciate you guys. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.
Yeah. Well done.
How awesome was that?
Done.
How awesome
Amazing.
Was that?
A lot of passion,
awesome was that, man?
Just intelligent and great perspective.
Folks, if you love this, smash the thumbs up on that. I thought that was class act, and give Steve and Anas some love on the commentary. We're probably going to bring those guys back. The way they give us their update, we're probably going to bring them back. Okay. Any takeaway from what he said?
I think that's what valuetainment's all about. Two reasonable people with polar opposite perspectives having a conversation, and you being the moderator and us all listening and hearing what the perspectives were. I got to give it up to Steve and Abbas. What was his name?
Anas.
Anas. Total respect. Yeah. And you have someone who's Palestinian, who had a perspective. He said he's American, so maybe he didn't really spend a lot of time in Gaza.
1 year.
He said
Anas,
1 year.
1 year, yeah.
And you have somebody who's spent
35 years.
35
years in the military. Speaks the language.
I will say there is a big difference between the West Bank, near Jerusalem, versus Gaza.
That's why he asked the question.
Okay, exactly. And Gaza is a lot worse than the West Bank. And I will say on behalf of, Steve said this, he said, we could annihilate the Palestinians if we wanted to in 1 second, which is true. I sent you something about that. I don't know if you saw what my friend Fareed Zazar. Israel has the most powerful army. This tiny little country the size of Delaware has the most powerful army in the entire Middle East. More per capita, more powerful than Iran, more powerful than Saudi Arabia. They could destroy Palestine. They could, but they don't. On the flip side, they do have a moral obligation. Israel being a democracy, people that believe they try to be a shining light in the city of a hill, much like America. In the Middle East, they do have a moral obligation to humanize the people of Gaza. Steve said that they do not hold free and fair elections. I agree with that. I do agree that especially in the West Bank, Mahmoud Abbas has been there for 15 years. He has not had to face a re-election. There's a lot of corruption going on, especially in Gaza. A lot of corruption. But Israel, being the shining light in the Middle East, should do their best to have moral authority over it.
Here's where I come out with Steve. That perspective was unbelievable. Somebody in the trenches.
Steve's going to be back. Steve and Anas,
unbelievable.
They're going to be back.
You know, and here I'll say this. You know, I love all people that are peace loving. Right? I think most people are in that camp. I like Palestinians. I love Israelis. The whole thing. The wild card here is Hamas, right? And I think if you listen to Steve, that's what he's talking about. This is a terrorist faction that fights very, very unfairly and dirty, and that's who is causing most of the problem. I think Palestinians and Israelis could live, a little bit more peacefully than people give them credit for. But when you have the wild card factor like Hamas, and that's where you hear the passion and it really coming in, because when you see the stuff probably that Steve's seen, and he hasn't told us, probably yet a fraction of what he knows, but it's unbelievable when you get the perspective from somebody on the ground.
So if you enjoyed this little short segment from the podcast that we did, here's another short segment to watch. Or if you want to see the entire podcast, click over here. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.